My beloved daughter, I saw you arrive. Even before your finger touched the screen to begin this documentary that now unfolds before you, I was already there, contemplating the weight you carry on your shoulders. You sought an answer, a sign, something that could finally separate your before from your after, and I stopped what I was doing in the universe to tell you. You didn't arrive here by chance. There is a question that echoes in your deepest silence, a void that no earthly conversation has been able to fill, and today, on this journey, I will show you what happens when my light pierces the chaos of your story. You have seen so many accounts of miracles and transformations, but why does it seem that your chapter of pain never ends? Why does the abyss seem so deep to you? I brought you here because I am the author of life, and I know every comma of your journey, just as I knew the pain of Job amidst the ashes, and the hope of that woman who, for 12 long years, sought only to touch the hem of my garment. Today, what will be revealed here is not just a video, but a scheduled encounter with your redemption, where each step of this message will be a stepping stone out of this valley. At this moment, when my voice reaches your heart, speak to me in the comments. As one who pours out their heart to a Father who hears everything, tell me your name, from where in this world you are watching me, and what time the clock shows there now. I want you to feel that you are not just a number on a platform, but a soul that I call by name. I feel your sincere desire to cry out now, from the depths of your being, Lord my God, here I am. I subscribe to this channel because I love you and my soul thirsts for you. Stay with me until the last second of this offering, for I have a clear answer that will be delivered only at the end, and a specific phrase will be whispered in your ear, something that will change the way you see your past. I saw you that Wednesday night around 3 in the morning, when the cold of the living room floor seemed less painful than the emptiness in your chest. The documentary of your life has chapters you try to hide, parts where the before is painted with the colors of depression, scarcity, and that suffocating feeling that the sky has turned to bronze and my hands have shortened. You looked at the walls of your house and felt that the silence was a heavy creature, ready to devour you. I saw when your hands trembled as you held that phone, waiting for a message that never came, or when the weight of tiredness in your eyes prevented you from seeing that I was sitting beside you, watching over your interrupted sleep. You feel like a blank sheet of paper that has been torn and thrown away, but I see a sacred document being restored. You think your abyss is the end, but for me, it is only the stage where my glory will shine more brightly. But I haven't yet shown you everything I saw in that moment of absolute solitude. There's a detail you forgot, but which I kept with all my love. If this word has found a home in your spirit and brought a glimmer of hope, leave your touch of affection on this video and share this documentary with someone who, like you, feels that life has stopped at the chapter of pain. What does your heart most desire for God to transform once and for all? Write in the comments our word of faith for this beginning, new story. But prepare your heart, because what I'm about to tell you about that tremor in your hands will change everything you think about your own weakness. Do you remember that afternoon when the sun seemed too weak to warm your soul? I was there, observing the exact moment your fingers faltered. There was an envelope on the kitchen table, or perhaps it was a message on your phone screen that you were afraid to read. I saw the involuntary trembling of your hands, a subtle swaying that betrayed the panic you were trying to stifle so that no one around you would notice. In that instant, the air seemed to have turned to lead. Each breath was a Herculean effort, and the taste of metal and fear filled your mouth. You looked at the walls of your house, and they seemed to close in, transforming your refuge into a cell of uncertainty. The before of your story is not made only of great tragedies, but of those small seconds of agony where hope simply deserts you. That day, the sky above your head wasn't blue. It seemed like a plate of bronze, cold and impenetrable, as if your prayers were hitting the metal and returning to your lap in the form of silence. You felt small, disposable, as if the documentary of your life was being edited to show only scenes of defeat. The weight on your chest was so physical that you even placed your hand on your heart, checking if it was still beating or if it had already given up the fight. You felt the cold of the ground when your knees buckled, and the only thing you could articulate was an inaudible groan. But listen carefully to what I tell you now. At the very moment you thought the abyss had swallowed you, I was supporting the structure of your soul so that you wouldn't shatter completely. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." In that scene no one filmed, where you were alone with your anguish, I was closer to you than the very pain that afflicted you. Your spirit was downcast, yes, but my hand was already drawing the trail of light that would take you away from there. You thought the trembling in your hands was a sign of weakness, but for me it was the sign that your before had reached its maximum limit, and where human limits end, my after begins to be forged. I saw when you closed your eyes and wished that time would stop, just so you wouldn't have to face the next minute of solitude. But I didn't allow time to stop, because if it stopped there, you would never know the strength of the resurrection I was preparing for your ruins. On this journey we are taking now, I want to ask you something very profound. When the silence of your home becomes too heavy, what is the name of the fear that tries to steal your peace? If you feel that I am describing passages of your life that no one else knows, like this message as a sign that we are connected. Share this message with that person you know is going through the most difficult before of their life. Write your affirmation of trust for this stage in the comments. He sees me. But don't rush into thinking you've seen it all. There is a truth about your scarcity that I will reveal to you now, something that will change the way you see what you have in your hands. Daughter, as I contemplate your trembling hands in the secrecy of your room, I want you to look at them now with a new and profound meaning. Sometimes what you have kept seems so small and insufficient in the face of the immensity of your desert, but in my kingdom, the little in the hands of those who trust becomes the banquet of multitudes. If your heart feels the real touch of my presence now, and you wish to honor this path of healing that we are walking together in this documentary of your life, listen to what I propose as a gesture of pure intimacy and mutual care between us. If it is possible for you, only if it is possible, transform your gratitude into a living seed of love for this channel that serves as a dwelling place for my voice. Consider my love and the sacrifice of my Son Jesus, and contribute using the link in the description of this video, and also in the first pinned comment. There you will find the sacred place where your offering of love can be deposited and consecrated before me, the Creator of all things visible and invisible that sustain your existence. You can contribute any amount, without pressure or fear. If your heart feels the desire to offer a different amount, just type the desired amount with complete freedom. And always remember, offer only what fits in your heart and what brings you peace. I receive each gesture with a love that knows no limits. No matter how small the donation may seem to the world, what truly matters is the sincerity of your heart when you give. For what may seem little to you can mean a great deal to those who receive it and keep this work going. Those who contribute any amount with a sincere heart, please remember to include your name and city with your contribution. On the first day of the following month, in a unique and special video on our channel and page, Divine Love, the Voice of God. Your name will be remembered, mentioned with profound gratitude, and showered with divine blessings released in prayer. For it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 7, "Each one should give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Every offering made in faith is a precious seed before me, your Lord, and I will not fail to bear fruit in your life. I watch in secret and reward in the sight of all. Remain until the end of this message, because I still want to touch your heart with my voice. You have already walked through narrow corridors where the only light came from the crack in the door, but you did not have the strength to open it completely. I saw when addiction became your only deceptive refuge. Perhaps it wasn't the addiction that the world points the finger at and judges so easily, but the addiction to pain, the addiction to believing that you were born only to endure suffering, or the emotional dependence on people who only gave you crumbs of affection. The silence in your house was so dense you could almost touch it with your hands, a weight that settled on the sofa beside you and convinced you that loneliness was your only inheritance. On those early mornings when the clock seemed to have stopped, you felt like you were in a documentary about ancient ruins, looking in the mirror and no longer recognizing the vibrant, dreamy woman who once inhabited that body. I saw when you stopped washing the dishes for days, when the clothes piled up in a corner of the room, and when the simple act of taking a shower or combing your hair seemed like an impossible mountain to climb. Deep depression is not just a passing sadness. It's a silent thief that steals the colors from your existence and replaces the music of your soul with a static and agonizing noise. And right there, in that desolate scene, I was sitting at the foot of your bed, while you plunged into that ocean of apathy, just trying to survive the next minute. My hand held your breath. You thought I had abandoned you in that dark valley, but it was precisely there in the middle of the dry, hard-packed earth that I was preparing the ground for your after. For it is written in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. You felt the icy water of anguish reach your neck. You felt the suffocating heat of the flames of anxiety burning your chest and robbing you of sleep. But look at yourself now. You are still standing. You are still breathing. The enemy of your soul tried to make your before a final tomb, a place of oblivion. But I made it a womb from which something will be born that the world has not yet seen. In that dark kitchen, where the smell of cold coffee mingled with the acrid smell of your self-defeat, I was whispering promises of restoration that your mind, clouded by pain, couldn't process. But now the fog is beginning to dissipate before my voice. Let me ask you, with all the affection of a father who knows every beat of your heart, what is the thing that most prevents you, at this very moment, from believing that your tomorrow can be gloriously different from today? If this documentary record of my grace is the answer you secretly asked for, show me your support by clicking the like button. Send this message now to someone you know who is lost in the valley of silence and depression. Write your declaration of war against discouragement in the comments. I will win. But hold your breath and calm your spirit, because now I will show you the remedy I prepared with my own hands, so that you will never again have to walk alone through these empty dawns. Daughter, I know that the journey through this valley we have just described is exhausting, and often the weight of weariness in your eyes prevents you from seeing the way out. You miss a hand to guide you when the sun sets and uncertainty knocks again at the door of your soul. Therefore, so that your afterwards is not just a passing moment, but a solid construction upon the rock, I have prepared something that will serve as a daily remedy for your wounds and a compass for your most difficult steps. If your heart desires to delve even deeper into my presence, I have left you a gift in the form of a journey, something I wrote with overflowing love and great affection for all my beloved daughters and sons. The digital book called Divine Love Devotional, The Voice of God. It was prepared to be your constant companion, day after day in your moments of silence, and in the intimacy that only the two of us share. You can find the way to it through the link I left in the description of this video and also in the first pinned comment. And listen carefully. If today is not possible for you, if your seed is still kept, do not condemn yourself in any way. Remain here with me, because I will also sustain and strengthen you through this message that is still being released. And so that your heart may rest fully and you don't need to worry about technical details, I want you to know, right after you register, full access will arrive directly in the email you registered. There you will find all the right instructions, explained step by step, so that you can begin this journey of renewal without any confusion. For it is written, Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. Psalm 119:15. This devotional will be that light when the world tries to darken your vision. It will be your sustenance in the early mornings and your strength upon waking. Now take a deep breath, calm your spirit, and remain here with me, for the documentary of your restoration is about to reveal the exact moment when my glory touches the impossible. Daughter, there was a specific second, an atom of time that the world ignored, but which to heaven was like the sound of 1,000 trumpets. It was the instant when your pain, exhausted from so much crying out, found the silence of my mercy. You were sitting on the edge of the bed, your feet touching the cold carpet, and for a moment, just a brief moment, you stopped trying to solve everything alone. You loosened the reins that were hurting the palms of your hands and said, in a whisper that barely escaped your lips, I can't take it anymore. At that exact point where your impossible collided with my omnipotence, The documentary of your life changed genre. What was a drama of loneliness began to become an epic of redemption. I remember the smell of that morning, a mixture of recent rain and the aroma of the coffee you made out of obligation without tasting it. I was there when you looked in the mirror, and for the first time in months saw not only dark circles and tiredness, but a faint glow, a spark that I myself ignited. The intersection of grace happens like this, without fanfare, without neon lights, but with the strength of a sun that insists on rising after the longest night of the century. I extended my hand and touched the wound you hid with layers of false smiles and elegant clothes. I touched the place where betrayal scarred you, where loss left you hollow. And I began to fill that void with a substance the world doesn't know, my peace which surpasses all understanding. For it is written in the book of Lamentations of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. You felt this renewal like a gentle breeze entering through the window of your soul, loosening the knot that had been tightening in your throat for years. That decision that seemed like a labyrinth without exit suddenly gained a trail of light. The after that I am now filming in your story does not depend on your strength, but on my faithfulness that never fails. You thought your case was the exception to the rule of my love, but I showed you that my mercies are tailor-made for those who have reached the end of themselves. I saw when you took a deep breath and felt, for the first time, that the air was no longer heavy. The gravity of your pain began to lose its power over your shoulders. But let me ask you something intimate, now that we are here, in this place of revelation. What is the first thing you want to do when you feel that the weight of this burden has finally completely disappeared? If this word of restoration is reaching the deepest places of your being, leave your sign of gratitude by clicking like and share this record of love with someone who feels forgotten amidst the impossible. Write your word of surrender for this new time in the comments, full grace, but prepare your spirit, because what I am about to tell you about the restoration of those ruins you called home will show you that I am capable of rebuilding palaces where before there were only ashes. The documentary of your life now gains colors that you swore had faded forever. I saw you running your hand over the furniture in that room, feeling that each object carried the weight of an argument, an abandonment, or an absence that screamed in the silence. You looked at the cracks in the walls of your house and felt that they were the exact reflection of the cracks in your soul. In those days, the smell of bitterness seemed ingrained in the curtains, and you avoided opening the windows, afraid that the sunlight would show how ruined everything was. You looked at your kitchen table and saw only empty spaces, not just empty of people, but of peace, of dialogue, and of smiles stolen by time and pain. But listen to what your father tells you at this moment. I am the engineer of the impossible. While you cried hidden in the bathroom, so that no one would hear your sobs, I already had the blueprint for your new story in my hands. I began to sweep away the dust of indifference that had accumulated between you and those you love. I saw when you tried, with trembling hands, to piece together the fragments of a broken relationship, and how each attempt seemed only to hurt you more. But the after that I prepare is not a shoddy patch. It is a complete reconstruction, from the foundation to the roof. I am bringing back the sweetness in your words and the gentleness in your gestures, transforming that burdened environment into a sanctuary of rest. For it is written in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 12, "Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the foundations of past generations. You will be called the repairer of broken walls, the restorer of streets with dwellings. You will be that repairer of walls within your own home. Where there were once cries of gratitude, I am placing songs of gratitude. Where there was the ice of contempt, I am kindling the hearth of my Holy Spirit. I saw when you thought your home would never again be a place of joy, but I tell you, the visitors who once avoided your door will now feel the fragrance of my presence emanating from your living room. Your before was marked by slammed doors and locked hearts, but your after will be known by tables laden with communion and the sound of laughter that will echo again in the corridors that were once dark. Before we move forward on this healing journey, let me ask you a profound question. If I were to enter your home today and ask to sit at the table with you, What would be the first ruin you would ask me to fix? If you feel that my hand is already working on restoring your home, confirm this now by liking this prophetic message. Share this video with that mother or father who cries over the ruins of their own family. Write our winning word for this section in the comments, restored home. But don't look away now, because I want to talk about the marks left on your body and soul. They are not what you think they are. Beloved daughter, I know that sometimes you look in the mirror and your gaze gets lost in the marks that time and battles have left on you. You run your fingers over your skin or over the memories and feel a tightness in your throat, as if those scars were smudges that spoiled the documentary of your existence. I see when you try to hide, under baggy clothes or a rehearsed smile, the marks of that emergency surgery, the lines that exhaustion drew around your eyes, or the invisible wounds that betrayal opened in the center of your chest. To the world, these marks are signs of wear and tear, but to me, who was by your side in every second of pain, they are medals of honor that prove you not only survived, but that you were forged in fire. I remember with absolute clarity the cold sweat that ran down your neck and the dampness in your palms that Tuesday afternoon when you had to face that devastating news. The weight of the silence in the hallway was so great that it seemed to crush your lungs and you felt a chill run down your spine. A vulnerability so raw that it made you feel small before the immensity of the problem. At that moment, you felt that your body was too fragile for the burden it was receiving, but it was precisely there, in that extreme weakness, that my strength began to become perfect in you. You thought you were being destroyed, but I was only engraving on you the proof of my deliverance. For it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Look at these marks now with my eyes. Each scar on your soul is a paragraph I wrote to show that the enemy tried to stop you, but couldn't. That mark you so despise is proof that the wound has closed, that the bleeding has stopped, and that life has conquered death. The before of your documentary was marked by the pain of the open wound. The after is marked by the glory of the healed scar. You are no longer defined by what hurt you, but by the hand that healed you. What was once a source of shame will now be your greatest argument to help others not give up. Your medals shine before the throne of heaven because they tell the story of a daughter who, even bleeding, did not let go of my hand. Let me ask you from heart to heart, if you could speak today to that woman who cried desperately 5 years ago, what would you say about the strength you discovered you possess? If this revelation about your scars has brought peace to your spirit, tap the like button as an act of acceptance of your own story. Share this message with a friend who is still trying to hide her scars, so she knows she is loved. Write our declaration of honor for this moment in the comments, Healed Scars. But there is still a final chapter I wish to reveal, where the documentary of your life ceases to be just about what you've been through and becomes about who you've become. Have you ever stopped to observe the movement of life outside as the sun begins to paint the horizon with shades of orange and purple? I was there with you, in that exact second when you opened the window and felt the first coolness of the morning touch your face. There was a time in your before when the simple act of looking outside made you nauseous, because the world seemed to spin at a speed you couldn't keep up with. But look at yourself now. The living documentary of your existence is no longer a succession of static scenes of pain. It is a moving film, where each step you take on the sidewalk, each time you smell the wet earth after the rain, is irrefutable proof that my after is infinitely more powerful than any agony you have ever endured. I see when you walk down the street, and without realizing it, begin to breathe more deeply, as if your lungs have finally learned that they no longer need to live in a state of alert. You felt that the air was scarce, that life was too heavy a burden for such a weary woman. But now, I am revealing to all the angels of heaven the work of art that I am finishing in you. You are my breathing testimony. You don't need grand stages or golden microphones to announce my glory. The way you hold your coffee cup peacefully, the way you look at your children with renewed hope, and the serene silence that now fills your room are the most powerful dialogues in this documentary. You have become evidence that my grace is not a theory written in ancient books, but a force that alters the chemistry of your soul. For it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 2, "You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. You are the love letter I wrote for the world to read." The people who saw you at rock bottom, who watched the first few minutes of that documentary where you were disfigured by sadness, now look at you and can't explain the light emanating from your eyes. They seek to understand what the secret was, what the formula was. But the answer is simple and profound. You allowed yourself to be edited by my hands. I removed the scenes of despair and inserted sequences of restoration. I erased the dialogues of defeat and put a new song in your mouth. You are no longer a survivor of a tragedy. You are the protagonist of a miracle that is still unfolding. Let me ask you something that touches the depths of your soul. When you look back and see the woman you were at the beginning of this video, what surprises you most about the woman you have become today? If this documentary of your life is being rewritten by me, and you feel this transformation in every fiber of your being, confirm your faith by clicking the like button. He shares this message with someone who still believes their documentary ended sadly. Write our identity statement for this moment in the comments. I am the miracle. But don't stray, because what I'm about to reveal to you about your new identity will definitively cause your past to lose the right to whisper lies in your ear. Beloved daughter, the enemy tried to label you, a low price tag that you accepted carrying for too long. In the world's documentary, your name was the one who failed, the one who was abandoned, or the one whom pain won. I saw you lower your head as you passed acquaintances on the street, feeling the weight of the judgment you imposed on yourself, as if your story were written with indelible ink of shame. You felt this weight in your chest, as if it were an old, heavy, rain-soaked coat that you carried out of habit, even when the sun was already shining outside. I saw the tremor in your lower lip when someone asked you how you were, and your only answer was a silence that cried out for help. But today, in this final offering of love, I tear away those false seals. I remove that soaked burden from your shoulders and give you a new garment woven with the thread of my own glory. Do you remember when you were a child and believed the world was a place of infinite possibilities? That essence did not die. It was merely buried under the rubble of your before. Now I am breathing upon you the breath of life, removing the dust of humiliation, and revealing the precious jewel I hid within you even before the foundation of the world. You are no longer defined by your mistakes, your losses, or the people who did not know how to love you. You are defined by me. You are my heir, the apple of my eye, the one for whom I moved heaven and earth to redeem. When the past tries to knock on your door to remind you of who you were, you will respond with the authority of one who knows exactly where they are going. For it is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." Listen carefully. Everything has become new. Your heavenly identity document has no erasures. I erased the record of your debt and wrote with the blood of my Son the word, free. Do you feel that shiver of hope running down your spine now? It is my confirmation that your after has already begun. That woman who wept in the darkness of the kitchen now gives way to a queen who knows that her father is the king of the universe. You no longer need to beg for crumbs of attention because you have the eternal banquet at your disposal. The documentary of your life now enters a phase of light, vibrant colors, and a peace that no one can steal from you. Let me ask you something that will seal your soul today. If you could erase the name that pain gave you and write the name that I, your Creator, give you now, what would that new name be? If you receive this new identity and feel that the chains of the past have finally broken, leave your like on this video as a seal of freedom. She shares this revelation with a woman who still lives under the weight of names that do not belong to her. Right here in the comments, our declaration of ownership. I am a new creation. But don't leave now. Because the final whisper I promised at the beginning, the key that opens the last door of this documentary, is about to be revealed to your heart. In this journey we've traveled together. The documentary of your life has ceased to be a record of losses and has become a hymn of victory. You saw how I was present in the trembling of your hands, in the silence of your ruined home, and in the healing process of your scars. Now that your eyes are open to the light of your after, I want to give you the key I promised at the beginning of our encounter. Do you remember that I said there would be a whispered phrase, a secret for those who remained until the end? Well, here it is. The truth that will sustain each of your steps from this moment on, the final answer to all your battles. The phrase that should echo in every cell of your being, your new password to victory is, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Write this phrase in the comments right now. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Make this your decree of faith, your signature on the contract of your new life. By writing these words, you are sealing before the entire spiritual world that your strength does not come from you but from me, and that there is no mountain too high or abyss too deep that we two, together, cannot cross. This is my prophetic promise to you. From now on, your after will be marked by a strength you never imagined you possessed. Feel my peace flooding your room, your living room, your car, or wherever you are now. The documentary hasn't ended. It has only changed phases. I still have much more to reveal to you, secrets of love and safe directions awaiting you. Do not turn away from my voice. Continue listening to what heaven has to say through our playlist and the messages I have prepared especially for your days of thirst. I am your Father, your guide, and your eternal refuge. The before is buried. The after is eternal. Beloved daughter, rest now in my embrace, for my hands that formed you are the same that sustain you, and my love for you is the only document that will never lose its validity.